Here we are. Of course, this is the only matchup happening right now. Obviously, the Stay Green Q Squad series. That was rescheduled to earlier on in the week. It happened on a Thursday, I believe it was, where we actually ended up casting it ourselves, and we had a lot of fun there. Stay Green, of course, winning that series 2-1. And as a result of that, the winner of this will move on to play Stay Green later on today. So kind of just a recap there. Anyways, as you can see, we are in the let's talk about what's going on so far. Blind bans, how about this? It's been a while. Monkey King Fade, going to be blind banned here by Lion. Parasite Keeper of the Forest, coming out from AL. But Monkey King, we are dealing with cookies after all.
Yeah, we are. But, you know, no Wild Soul ban means a Wild Soul lock coming out from Lion. So they lock up both Wild Soul and Pebbles right there. The first lock was MOA, a hero that we've seen so much of recently. One thing to note, too, about the roster of AL is that I mentioned yesterday, they did get a new addition to the roster in Present 23. He is not playing today, though.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I wasn't quite sure who he would be replacing in the first place. So I'd have to talk with them more about that and see what their plans are with him joining the roster. But I know that he has joined. He was scrimmaging with them. He's tagged up and everything. So, but one thing to point out.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point to bring up. But again, this is the AL roster that we're at least used to seeing from the previous cycle. So again, but the Monkey King blind ban, it's still funny to see that here we are now in cycle number 5. Things have moved on. We haven't seen Monkey King in a while, specifically Cookie's play, to be honest, but he plays a damn good one still. And, it goes to show you the respect right there. But yeah, as far as the locks go, Master of Arms starting things off. Pharaoh Tempest actually to respond. There's that Wild Soul you talked about. Pebbles also coming out from Lions. And then actually Pandemonium coming out from Absolute Legends. And, usually I'm intrigued to say with a lock like that, it's more of a trollish. But this is Absolute Legends, man. I mean, these guys do tend to run some pretty crazy things at times. So never going to put it past them. But banning phase, Plague Rider, Moon Queen, Ophelia, Silhouette, Draconis, Moraxis. And the first pick, not too much thought put into that one. Engineer coming out for Hanskin here.
Yeah, there's still other great supports available, but Engineer really is one, like the shining star of the supports, really. Just from start to finish, he scales so well.
Yeah.
And just has such a strong presence in the laning phase. His spells do a lot of damage. His turret slows through Shrunken Head. And his ulti, obviously, is so powerful for anti-initiation. So, yeah, no surprise right there.
Yeah, speaking of Absolute Legends, once again, it's been a while. Something that I do remember that they kind of liked to run that was more of a it was a fun idea was that Trilane Flint Beastwood.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that's still kind of in the arsenal here for Absolute Legends, or if they maybe have gone away from that. But Hammerstorm Luna, very strong combo right there. Going to be a couple of first picks for AL.
Yeah, I mean, Hammerstorm's been a hero that's also exploded onto the scene. But, yeah, I remember them trying that Flint Trilane, and it actually worked out pretty damn well. The only problem with it, though, is that with a Flint in the Trilane, he tends to get very, very under-leveled, where he's, like, basically the same level as the other team's Suicide, or, sorry, he's, like, massively out-leveled by 3 or maybe even 4 levels early on. Like, when he's 5, the Suicide might be level 9. That's just the nature of a Trilane. You have that experience massively divided between those heroes that are in that Trilane. So, I mean, it's a good idea. He has a strong laning presence for sure, paired up with some good stuns like Magnus or Hammerstorm and Luna, for instance. But, yeah, again, he does lose out on a lot of experience.
Yeah. Now you look at the pickups right there from Lion, kind of interesting. Wretched had Glacius. Now, the big thing that's standing out to me right there is, well, you got 2 support heroes, an Engineer and Glacius, to start things off here in the regular picking stage. So either Lion Esports Club making a point that they're going to go more of a tri-lane setup themselves, actually, or it's a possible, 2-2-1 setup. But, yeah, kind of definitely very interesting there with those picks coming out. I mean, you would think with that Wild Soul first pick, if that's what they go, he would more than likely, of course, be in that Suicide role, not in the jungle, especially with these picks. So, yeah, kind of different there from Lion Esports Club, but again, we'll see how things finish out for them in that lockpick stage. As far as AL goes, Cookie's thinking about their third and final pick, and there you go. It is going to be a Bubbles. So, well, what do you make of that, though, the Engineer Glacius pickups here?
Or the Wretched Hag Glacius, or just
well, just having both Engineer and Glacius.
Well, it's probably going to be some kind of tri-lane with Wretched Hag in the mid. So I'm guessing Wild Soul, Suicide top, or maybe even tri-lane top and Wild Soul. Wild Soul could solo mid. But we're going to definitely see something different here, as you mentioned. Engineer Glacius in the pool. Could also be a farming Engineer, but that's pretty wacky, and that's really just not the best way to play Engineer in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, so something going to come up here from Lions a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. But, again, well, it definitely depends on their final pick as well.
I still wouldn't put it past teams to dual lane something like a Wretched Hag with Iglesias.
Yeah.
I think that's just fine. Like, if you had Wretched Hag in the solo short, presumably Bubbles is going to be like, okay, I'm going to solo 1v1 against Wretched Hag. Nope, Iglesias is there to support and just pushes and boxes Bubbles out of the lane. But Panda and Master of Arms, so they choose the Panda over the Pebbles. Very interesting.
Well, you know what? I said it in the lock stage. I was like, that final lock pandemonium, but this is AL. Something's telling me something's fishy here. That usually I would list that as a trollish lock, but it's absolute legends. They do some crazy things from time to time, and well, we're going to see a little bit of that here apparently. Pandemonium picked up. Now, I know we've had a couple of talks about Pandemonium in the past. It seems like the biggest problem with him is ultimately, well, his ultimate, how easily it's countered.
Yeah. It's very easily countered. I mean, you can keg stun through it, you can ice imprisonment. Push books will, no matter how much farm you have on Panda, your ult can be countered so easily.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, Pebbles would have been so much better. Simply because Panda's not very good against Wretched Hag. It's very difficult to lock him down unless you get the ulti off, and you basically have to get the ulti off because otherwise he's just going to blink away from your flick, from your cannonball. And with Pebbles, it's you get your blink and then you combo them and nearly get them from full HP to nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, he does do a lot of damage. Like, he dishes out a ton of damage when you get a lot of farm output to him. But like I said, and like you said, there's so many ways to counter that ultimate specifically.
Well, on top of that, it also gave Lion at Pebbles in that sense too. I mean, I agree with you. AL, it seems like that Pebbles pickup for them could have worked out pretty damn well, but not only did they go the Pandemonium, but now Pebbles picked up here by Lions, whereas they would have been left with either that Pharaoh or maybe even Pandemonium themselves. I guess it could have been the Tempest as well, but then like we were talking about, I mean, that probably would have meant like a solo engineer, which really is kind of awkward. So it's safe to say you almost even helped out Lions a little bit in that sense. Not going that, but clearly AL has something planned. I highly doubt they're going into this matchup here being like, you know what, we randomly want to pick a Pandemonium and see how it works. That's just not how it goes down. So Cookie's a great player, of course. He is going to be playing the Pandemonium. I will say, of course, Pandemonium has his history in the competitive scene. Of course, looking back at the Trilane era, he was really one of the first Trilane focus heroes, specifically with Fnatic, where I believe it was Fly that actually played him and played him very, very well. And he can dish out some damage. His burst damage potential in the physical sense is pretty powerful, especially with something like a Soul's Bulwark into the demonic. So it's something not to scoff at by any means. But yeah, that ultimate, it's easily counterable, and so you got to look at that a little bit. But
yeah, and perhaps it's a response to just Wild Soul being tanky in nature. That they feel like they need someone that can dish out that damage, which Panda, he definitely can do. Like, he does a lot of damage. So I'm curious to see specifically how AL lanes it.
Yeah.
They're all rushing bottom right now. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to lane there, but they're all grouping up bottom.
Yeah.
And it is going to be a support Hammerstorm. Creams is playing it.
Let's get it on.
Oh, sorry, it's not. But
yeah.
Creams is their hard support player, so this is very strange.
See, we've seen this in the past, though, from AL. I mean, we've seen Creams before play a hero's carry style. I think he's even played. I don't know. But something tells me, you know, thinking about that, how, yes, usually he is their hard support, but we've definitely seen him play even carry roles before. This is kind of one of those teams where there's cases of certain heroes or whatever where they'll play it no matter what role they're used to. So we're going to have a pause now coming out here from AL. Clearly something up on their end. But yeah, it is a Hammerstorm with a hatchet. So, again, not necessarily going to be more the farming style Hammerstorm here. And that means the Luna and MOA are going to be your support, of course. And then you got Bubbles, who will most likely end up by himself. But yeah, is this going to be a Trilane? Are we going to see a 2-2-1 setup? I mean, as you mentioned, all four, 5 of them wanted to go down. It looks like King Plato might exit. Well, that explains it right there. He was a little bit left behind, and sure enough, he times out. So, unfortunately, he's not with them. You look at the minimap, though, there is not going to be any counter coming on, as obviously Lion Esports Club, they're rushing towards the top lane themselves. So, not really the biggest deal in the world that King Plato actually DC'd right there for AL. But yeah, the Pandemonium, no doubt, that's the intriguing pick here. That's what a lot of people are going to be looking at, including myself, and seeing what kind of performance he has, because that's a curveball pick, and this is an important matchup, man. Here we are in the losers bracket round 4. It's you lose here, obviously you're done. You finish 5th/6th place. You win here, you guarantee yourself top 4 which means obviously more money as well as more points. So pretty big deal between these two teams. Okay, it looks like he is back though.
Right, let's get it
Hanskin
on.
says, let's go, and then Flinsmester's like, hold on, and Moody says, never mind. So I think we are actually good. Again, not going to be any engagements here early on. It seems like both teams just going to get their water sights down and then spread to the lanes. But intrigued by those lane setups, though. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, both teams are roaming on the opposite sides jungle, and lots of trees being cut down right here for Absolute Legends. I wonder if they have a plan with that in mind, or they're just simply having some fun right there.
Yeah.
But they're roaming around mid, maybe looking to get a gank towards the mid lane, maybe a level 1 Bloodlust here in the mid lane. We never see this anymore, and I don't know why. I think so many teams can do this. I guess the only problem is that, you know, you start out so often with dual lanes in the mid, so it's not like it's a solo polywog mid and you come with, you know, 2 stuns and a nuker, and then you just destroy him that way. But it's a little bit more difficult when you have an engineer Pebbles lane, which it might be the case here actually in mid, to get that level 1 Bloodlust.
Yep. So into the laning phase we go. It is the polar bear pandemonium, by the way. I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on, because well, obviously we never see pandemonium, and I thought this was just the basic skin, but then I was looking at it a little bit, and that's not a panda. So, anyways, he is going to be going that solo mid, obviously, as we're talking about Luna and Master of Arms here at the bottom lane. So, sure enough, it is going to be a Trilane setup coming out here from AL with Hammerstorm down here. Engineer Pebbles are at the bottom side, and here comes Glacius already rotating. So, we are going to have a good old-fashioned Tri versus Trilane, and I must say, it seems like we have been seeing this a little bit lately. I think even yesterday in the Sound Blaster series that we covered of DMSN versus Team Buy, we also saw that Tri versus Tri matchup, and something even told me even before that. So, kind of making a little bit of a comeback here, perhaps. But both these teams expect some pretty crazy action here at the bottom lane. Both teams have some damn aggressive Trilane setups. So
they do. Like Pebbles is. I always feel like Pebbles in a Trilane is just so damn good. Like, he's got a lot of HP. He attacks for so damn hard, and auto attacks early on make a huge difference in these little level 1, level 2 engagements. And because he's hitting for, what, 70 damage just right now, it makes a huge difference. Once you get your stun, you get a couple auto attacks on top of that. And then, you know, the Ice Imprisonment to follow, or in this case, the Glacial Blast, the Keg Stun. So, I mean, but you have good things on both sides. Like, MOA has some good range, a good stun. I mean, these are both very strong Tri-lanes. What's interesting to me is that both of the melee farmers here, in this case Hammerstorm and Pebbles, don't have shields to mitigate any auto attack damage. So any kind of harass coming out specifically from the ranged heroes is not going to get mitigated at all.
Well, looking a little bit further at that, Pebbles' armor is one of the lowest in the game as far as his base armor goes. I mean, he's only at 0.7 right now. So, yeah, that harassment from those auto attacks of MOA and Luna is even going to hurt that much more when you think of it. So, yeah, that's definitely a great observation to bring up right there, and no doubt that could be playing. And it seems like, I mean, for how it's looking, Hammerstorm's the one playing a little bit more aggressive as far as going for the creep kills, whereas Super KGE seems like he's using that hatchet a little bit more and constantly sitting a little bit further back. So it seems like AL does kind of have that positioning favor as a result of that. In fact, you see the couple last creep kills right there. This is going to be a push into the tower, though, and that should free up some farm for Pebbles. But yeah,
nice power throw by Luna there, catching 2 heroes. And I think the reason for it, too, is, well, I remember when we saw Tri-lanes versus Tri-lanes all the time, and you would just never get a hatchet. You would never get a hatchet. You would just see the farmer, whoever it was, if it was a melee hero, would always just get a shield and just opt out of the hatchet, because they knew that it's better to mitigate that damage than get lucky and get some auto or get some last hits. But in this case, yeah, they are commanding this lane just a little bit more. And I don't think it's really necessarily because their lane is like that much stronger. I think they're just kind of manning up and playing with balls, honestly. Sometimes just that intimidation factor of sitting up there and acting like you're not scared can actually make their team more scared and play a little bit more passively.
Yeah. Again, you see Pebbles, he's just going back and forth, trying to get those creep kills. Illusion Rune was picked up by Master of Arms. He's going to maybe try to flank them a little bit right here with the illusions, if anything, do some hero blocking, and that could set up a kill. So it's almost as if that's what King Plato wants to do right here, but Glacius will actually spot them, and they'll realize pretty quickly. He's like, I took barely any damage. Those are probably illusions. So yeah, going to go ahead and kill those off me one in the middle lane. Oh, gets that kill on a Wretched Dagger right there. Caught that at the last second. You do see the cooldowns up, though, for Pandemonium, or on cooldown, I should say. So clearly using that flick in the cannonball. He must have landed the cannonball, but it looked like Wretched Dagger was also caught in tower range. So well played by Cookies right there, I'm sure. Again, just catching the tail end of that. But Now, I was kind of looking at the middle lane every now and then, and it seemed like Wretched was completely controlling the lane against this Panda as far as last hit on the creeps and just the harassment, but Panda gets the bloodlust kill.
I mean, I didn't watch it, but I want to give all the credit in the world to Cookies. I think he's a fantastic player. Fantastic. So there you see right there, the cannonball does hit, and he is leveling it up, so it does a lot of damage. I like how he's leveling this up, too. I don't think Flurry is really the right way to go, especially up against a Wretched Hag who can just blink away. But that death from Wretched Hag is unexcusable. That cannot happen against the Panda. Panda's not even level 6.
Here we go, bottom lane. Finally, some initiation. Pebbles taking the pressure. Hammerstorm getting the return, though. Going to activate the Galvanize and run away. Aluna wants to chase that power throw coming up in 3 seconds, but the health potion coming out. A lot of regen going to be used. The power throw not going to connect on anyone, but here comes a hasted Pandemonium. The Flurry, the cannonball. Look at that damage on a Pebbles. However, great counter coming out from Engineer and Glacius. Pandemonium, he wants to chase, but he's just going to do it because of the tower. So a great save between Glacius and Engineer right there, keeping Pebbles alive, and that did free up some Wretched Hag farm in the meantime in that middle lane. So Pandemonium tried to take advantage of that haste rune, of course, but just not able to do so.
Yeah, he tried to go, and I didn't see who was going on who down in this bottom lane, but if it was AL going on and initiating onto Lions,
they went on to Pebbles, yeah.
Okay, well, they should have waited. They should have waited for Pebbles to, or for Panda to get into a little bit longer range. Oh. Here's the ultimate, and goodbye, Hag. Goodbye.
One more. The stick in the face, and down goes Hag. Yeah, that's, again, especially, Pandemonium, obviously one of those heroes. That level 6 mark in a 1-versus-1 matchup is so important, and he just showed it right there. I mean, Wretched Hag could absolutely do nothing. And you said it. You got to give all the credit in the world to Cookies. He is playing this great as expected. Pebbles, in the meantime, once again going to be the target of the choice. They're going to go on to him. Nice, it is going to be enough for the kill, but Aluna will fall in return. Now 1-for-1 exchange. I still think AL pretty happy with that. Engineer off to the side. In the meantime, Hammerstorm chasing Glacius, though. Stun up in 1 second. Has those steam boots. There's the stun. Here comes Master of Arms. Wretched Hag pulling him. The Bat Blast missing, though. Completely whiffing the Bat Blast as Hammerstorm sidesteps it, gets the kill. He might end up dying in the end, and it looks like he probably will right here. Oh, nice deny from Master of Arms. And that's the perfect situation in the end for Absolute Legends. AL played that beautifully.
Flensmeister whiffing, man. I mean, whiffing his spell. Dying twice in, and then the second death obviously was kind of difficult to dodge because it is a level 6 Panda, but up to that point he was owning the lane, and he died before that. Like, again, that should never ever happen against the Panda without an ult. And then comes bottom. Yeah, they get the kill. Well, actually no, they didn't get the kill. And actually meantime, here's the stun. Actually, the Stalagmites actually miss on Hammerstorm. Good juke there by Hammerstorm. They're trying to pursue Engineer. Oh no, the nuke from King Plato does miss. They're trying to pursue. The turret is perfectly placed. And
what?
What?
What? Pebbles just killed him. Why? Okay, I'm trying to think of logic here. I'm gonna say I assume he thought some nukes were gonna come to finish him off, and maybe he was trying to deny Engineer with a chuck. I mean, that might have been it, but
maybe he thought the creep wave was further away and thought he was saving him by chucking him.
I don't know. Yeah, that was weird. Middle lane in the meantime, we do see another flurry coming. Or not, the lockdown from Pandemonium, and he will get the kill using that face smash. Wow, Absolute Legends is on quite the big momentum roll right now, specifically that Pandemonium, man. 333 gold per minute. He's off to a great start here.
Yeah, and then we haven't really talked too much about top lane.
Yeah.
It was going heavily in favor for Krebson on Wildso at first, but it seems like GG Slayer has kind of taken a little bit more control of it now, and it's pretty even at this point. But as far as getting a kill on a Wildso, that's going to be pretty impossible unless you get a response from, say, Panda, which actually could very well happen. You get a TP up on the Panda, you get a flick, and then that level 4 cannonball, which does so much damage, also really considering the fact that the flick gives them -6 armor and -8 at the next level.
Again, this isn't a hero we see often, especially in a long time. So, I had to kind of look at those numbers again. And you mentioned the cannonball does some good damage, but holy crap, 325 physical damage, the 2.25 second stun. It can be fairly difficult to land. We do see the bottom lane. Aluna is going to be taken out right here. So the Hellborn team getting caught out in the jungle, actually. And now Hammerstorm, he's going to be pursued, and he might be frozen right here. There's the freeze. Engineer is ready to follow up. Galvan is going to be used on Hammerstorm, like, bring it on. And you see the Legion team in the meantime. They're like, oh, crap, here comes Pandemonium. We need to fall back. He ran right past that ward of sight, so that's what gave them that information. So in the end, Hammerstorm will survive as he goes back to the lane. But again, Pandemonium is definitely being a scary presence here in this game so far. But yeah, you talked about with the flick synergy on top of that cannonball. And we said it from the very beginning. I mean, this hero can do plenty of burst damage, especially with the early levels that he's getting here. He now has, or will have, a level 4 flick on top of that level 4 cannonball as he levels it up right there, and he's actually looking to finish off his ghost marches, which I believe he has now. So.
I'm pretty sure he can one-shot almost anyone. Like,
yeah.
I wouldn't even be surprised if he could one-shot or just kill Wild Soul all by himself.
Yeah,
Even
not
Wild
necessarily
Soul,
a one-shot, but yeah, solo kill, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I just would not be surprised at all. It just that -8 armor, the physical damage from the huge nuke already from Cannonball, and then the ultimate. It's pretty huge. Pretty huge amounts of damage.
Yeah, and again, that Cannonball is not the easiest of stunts to land. Yeah, Hammerstorm is in a little bit of trouble right here. Freeze coming out. We do see a charge shot on Iglesias right there, trying to help them. In fact, Hammerstorm wants to turn this around. The offensive Master's Call was used right there, I believe. He's trying. No, never mind. There's no Master's Call. Anyways, Hammerstorm will go down for some reason. I thought I heard it, but now Master of Arms actually in trouble. Iglesias will barely live as Master of Arms on the run. Power Throw not connecting right there, and Keg's done to finish him off. So a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of the Legion team in the meantime. Happening at the bottom lane. For some reason, I thought I heard it. But he ain't even level 6 yet, so that wouldn't make sense. Glacius, though, again, he had one auto attack easily would have killed him, but able to avoid death right there. So the man-at mode not working. Aluna wasn't there with him. I mean, we saw the power throw attempt at the last second, but it did barely just miss. So.
Well, I think that's more the fault of Creams and the way that he positioned his hero so aggressively, not having the backup behind him that he needed. And they knew it, too. They had a ward of sight behind it. They saw it. They had the lane vision. And they knew that only a Master of Arms was around, so it was a 2v3 exchange there. And that was just Creams playing way too far up.
Yeah. Pandemonium thinking about going to the top lane, but even if he did through the jungle, you do see this ward site that was recently placed here by Krepson, actually, that would have easily spotted him. So he actually will just come right back to the middle. Find Wretched Ag is going to go for a combo. There's the flick. Oh, not happening, though. The blink just before. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, on Pebbles, who is starting to pick up a little bit of farm, but after that death, once again slowing it down as King Plato actually on the Master of Arms gets credit for the kill right there. So this bottom lane continues to really kind of be a back and forth. I mean, Hammerstorm and Pebbles, I mean, neither one has really taken off by any means, as again, they both have their fair amount of deaths here early on. 2 for Hammerstorm and 2 for Pebbles. Pandemonium, though, he's joining this bottom lane, and they're going to maybe try to catch Pebbles when he ports back or something like that. As there you go, Pebbles is going to port him out. I wonder if Panda was spotted.
He went right through the ward on the bottom river.
Okay, so yeah, they definitely know that he is here. Will that matter, though? There's the Hammerstorm on. There's the Cannonball coming out. No face match just yet. The flick going to be used. He will be pushed through the energy field right there. In comes that Bat Blast, and Cookie's realizing very quickly he's in some trouble. Trying to run away. Not going to happen, though. Great port in for Wretched Hag, and that worked out beautifully for Lion Esports Club.
Yeah, they were just completely baited AL. Completely baited. And they're fighting a lot of these engagements, and they're not using every player. Specifically, Bubbles needs to be ganking. He's kind of just sat in this top lane this entire time. He's level 9. Has not assisted at all. Like, yeah, you don't want to let Wild Soul farm, but I think it's going to farm just as much with you not there.
Yeah.
Or with you there than if you're not there. So I think Bubbles needs to be rotating and moving around. This is not a hero that needs to sit in the lane and farm. This is a hero that needs to run around and gank when those ultimates are up.
Well, you know, on that note, you can kind of argue the opposite for Pandemonium. It seems like Bubbles, if any, should be the one roaming around farming, where Pandemonium maybe should port to this top lane, and he's the ones that should be farming it up and trying to get those early items, something like the Soul's Bulwark, as we talked about, or whatnot. So, yeah, I agree with you definitely in there. With that point that, yeah, Bubbles, he's level 10 now, and the fact that they have 7 kills as a team and he's still sitting on 0 assists and none of the kills, of course, definitely kind of speaks for itself right there. So.
Also, just the fact that, there's an Entangle proc onto a Luna. It's an invisible Wild Soul, so they don't even know. They can't even see him. But the Bear's still able to attack, obviously, because it's in range. And also, that engagement going onto an Engineer, he was already level 6. So that's perfect. You saw how it's basically like a counter initiation tool. You cannot follow up once that ultimate's down because you get silenced as you try to enter. And it was like I said, they were completely baited into that exchange there, bottom. And again, this is what I talked about, similar to when we were saying like Flint in the Flint Trilane. In this case, it's Hammerstorm as the one that's trying to get the farm, but he's only level 6. The other 2 supports are 5. Or you compare the other 2 supports are 5 and 7 for Lions, whereas, and then also Super KG on Pebbles, their farmer, is level 7 too. So Creams, he does not have much farm. He has very little levels. We've seen engagement here at the bottom. Yeah, they're going to try to go for the kill. Hammerstorm has a brute strength. Okay, he finally uses it right there. I was wondering what took him so long. He is going to be counter-initiated. I'll know there's an energy field, the Kex on the turret, everything used. And obviously Wretched Ag with the assistance too. Glacius trying to run in here and maybe get Master of Arms. But MOA will survive as he falls back in time. So another 1-for-1 exchange. Pebbles for Hammerstorm.
But again, I'm a little bit curious what took so long for Hammerstorm to actually activate the ultimate. You figure they could have actually killed him, one auto attack sooner maybe.
Yeah.
And that could have been a difference maker. So
yeah, you don't want to take any chances like that.
Yeah. Well, middle lane, they were trying to push it. Port coming in, though, and they need to realize pretty quickly here that there are some assistance coming. There is assistance coming in, and they will fall back, it looks like, as Hag, Pebbles, and Glacier Soul here. Tower is barely going to not be denied. Here we go. The flick they're going to be used, but a nice Stalagmite's coming out. Hammerstorm joins the party, though. The Bat Blast going to come in on top of that, and Pandemonium will fall in the end. Hammerstorm trying to finish off the tower. Actually, not going to happen. Glacial Downpour coming out. That tower gets denied in the end by Flensmeister. You see Luna falling back, but again, another case of AL. Seems like they're getting baited here constantly.
They're getting baited constantly, and Bubbles is still top. He is still top. He's level 11 now. He doesn't deny the tower. Like, what is he doing up here? What is he doing? He's not doing anything. He needs to be helping his team. I don't understand this at all.
That is, it is odd. I mean, usually you argue that the 6-7 mark is where you want to be moving around and assisting your team, and it would be one thing if this was just a static sit back and farm game overall, but this is not by any means that. It's 9 to 8 hero kills.
Or if he was a different hero, like if he was a silhouette or something, like that would make more sense. And think about it this way too: like you hit 6, he hit 6 right around the same time as Wild Soul. What ability does Wild Soul have? Like, oh, I hit 6, now I can gank. There's nothing. It's not like also a Pharaoh, too. Like, that Wild Soul, would, if he was a Pharaoh, he could go gank it. But Bubbles has that. He has that level 6. I have Keltfield. And you don't even have to wait for Keltfield, honestly. You can still gank effectively without the Keltfield because it's actually pretty bad at level 1. I mean, it gets them to stop there in their tracks, but the stun's pretty short. He does just pick up a portal key, but...
You'd hope now.
You'd hope now.
You'd hope it starts now.
But I figured that the team is just kind of too tanky now at that point. Look, there's a lot of... Here we go on Hag, though. Perfect target to go on.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get the kill, though. Will he be able to blink away in time? Yes, he will. And, oh, I got to question the... It seemed like Bubbles, I don't know about the decision of abilities. They didn't stagger the stuns the greatest, the silence on top of that. And we saw the end result. Wretched Hag was able to blink away in time before the death. So Bubbles trying to make use of the portal key as soon as he gets it. Unfortunately, though, Wretched Hag is able to get away, so not the greatest execution right there. And now we're 60 minutes into the game, and what was a very aggressive and it was looking to be a great start overall for Absolute Legends, completely turning around. I mean, Lion Esports Club, I think it's safe to say they're in control of this game right now. I mean, you have a Wild Soul that is actually getting very close to finishing that's sort of the high, and then of course eventually the Mock of Brilliance, and now you have a Wretched Hag who may not have had the best start, but it has started to pick up now. And she is actually looking like she might want to be working on a Shrunken Head first even, but we'll see how that goes. But she is the top farm of the game. And then there's always the Pebbles, 1,900 gold saved up, so that portal key is going to be coming on him shortly as well.
Yeah. I know. The items are coming into place here definitely for Lions, and it's going to be 10 times harder once they are. They do have a gold lead, but it's going to be even worse when they get those items. Engineer almost has a push book, for God's sake. This is your support engineer. He's 4-1-3, 200 GPM. Wow, yeah. And we know how strong engineer is as a scaling hard support, and it's gonna do work. So bottom lane, we're looking at maybe a possible fight here, Bruin. But you have a TP up on Hag ready for the counter initiation. Yeah. And like I said, they just continually get baited here in these exchanges. So they need to be a little bit more careful. Again, Bubbles is finally down here, but this is just too late, man. Like, yeah, you have the portal key, but I feel like it's too the perfect hero to get those kills on would be either a support, but you don't want to waste all that time on support, or Wretched Hag. Like Wretched Hag would be the perfect the go, but they already tried it in mid, and he's already getting way too tanky.
And there's the portal key purchase on Pebbles. He's going to have it delivered to him, as obviously with the positioning right here. Can't necessarily make it to the side shot, but Bubbles is going to go middle. Again, this ward of sight, though, placed by Sealkid. It will spot them. Meisty putting a Revelation down, trying to counter ward a little bit, but again, the placement of the ward of sight not going to be in range, and at least I don't believe it is in range. Oh, it might be in range, actually, but bottom lane, Pebbles using that portal key, taking out King Plato there. I don't even know if he used the portal key, actually. Maybe he didn't, but anyways, they get the kill. Super KGE does playing that Pebbles, and against, but he now has that portal key. And there's the sort of the high purchase on Krebson as well, so that's obviously that really intimidating item that you have to deal with. Speaking of portal key, Pandemonium actually picking up a portal key too. So he went for the earlier on Amulet of the Exo, wanted a little bit more of a mana pool, and now he also has that portal key himself. What do you make of that pickup?
I think it's okay, but it's just I feel like it's just not enough on this team in general. Hammerstorm has very little farm. He's looking to maybe get a portal key, but his levels are so low. This level 8 Hammerstorm, I just don't know how effective he can be against the the team that Lions has right now and the farm that they have coming up. Like the portal key's already purchased on the Pebbles. The Mock of Brilliance is going to be huge against this team. Invis Bubbles behind. We might see an engagement here, but again, if they dive this, I feel like the response is going to be so fast from Lions.
Yeah. And they're really good at that. They've already proven this game. They've shown in the past. I have a feeling they are going to go for it, though. I mean, Bubbles is in a pretty prime position to do so, as is Pandemonium, especially with that portal key. It's just a matter of when. You can tell it's coming. There we go. There comes the flick. The Entangle. Level 1 Entangle. The first hit, though. Screwing everything up. He's going to cannonball away. Bobbles in a lot of trouble. He gets the defensive Kelfield off. Take cover there as well. But look at Wildtail with the blocking. Here comes Pebbles. And Bubbles will fall. I mean, again, we saw that the whole time coming. And on top of that, I mean, sure, RNG no doubt helping there. The Entangle going off. First hit on the Pandemonium. Didn't help things either, but another counter kill for Lion Esports Club.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty lucky as far as the Entangle goes, but you got to see it coming. Like, that was inevitable right there. I think everyone knew, and they should have known that. They probably knew themselves, too. They're like, well, they're going to mess with you. Let's just go anyway. Just go. I'm sure that's exactly what they said. Yeah, they wanted to man up and try to get – and it can be frustrating when you had a good start like that and you can see it start to slip away and you make some decisions that you know in retrospect were really bad decisions. Like, that was a bad decision. That was a wild soul that you're trying to go on in ulti form when you're fighting against Wretched Hag, who has her own blink, and a Pebbles, who also has his blink. So that's just asking to get destroyed right there.
Yeah. So again, it's just a case of absolute legends, really. Of they had control of this game early on stages, especially in that laning phase for early on. But as this game has progressed out of the laning phase into the movement, and it continues to be more and more in favor of Lion Esports Club, it seems like. Now, they are going to do a good job of cleaning up some triple stack Ancients right here. And I will say, I mean, you look at the gold per minute chart, it's not like there's a free farming Dark Lady or Silhouette by any means. I mean, it's not like anyone's really just taken off here on the Legion side. Sure, Wretched Hag is now at 350. And yes, Wild Soul will have that Mock of Brilliance here in the very near future now. But Hammerstorm is somewhat recovering despite him having those 5 deaths early on. He is now 285 gold per minute. You talked about his levels, not the greatest still, but he does have a portal key actually now too. I don't even know if we talked about that. So a lot of portal keys this game, man. A lot of portal keys. Already 3 here on the Hellborn side. And then you have Pandemonium, 1,400 more gold saved up. He continues to farm fairly well himself. And you got to figure from here it's just going to be, again, I think it's something like a Soul's Bork. It seems like a perfect item for a hero like Pandemonium. So maybe want to see him get that. But yeah, so it's not to sit here and say that AL by any means is out of this game, but it's just, you know, they keep getting baited is the best way to look at it. And go for their sake, that kind of slows down here, and maybe they can recover.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, they are in a bad spot simply because the late game is pretty damn scary coming out from Lions, specifically the Wretched Hag and the Wild Soul. And Wild Soul, obviously, I always look at his GPM once he gets an early mock. And by early, I mean this is about a timely mock. Does he have it up actually on the bear?
No, he still needs to purchase the pack.
Okay, well he has it enough. So I guess it's actually right on par. I guess maybe honestly a little bit later.
Yeah.
He bought boots on both Boo Boo and himself, and so not going exactly straight for that mock. But nonetheless, it's a decent number. But the GPM doesn't really reflect him farming like massively well. It's under 300 GPM. But that's how scary it is. You're like, oh my god, he has his mock. Oh god, what do we do? Oh, and he's only at 289 gold per minute. Imagine what happens when he's at 400.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. But that also just simply goes back to the fact that this is a suicide hero. And on top of that, again, he's not a hero that needs those build-up items by any means. I mean, we see a lot of the time, you talked about how he got boots on the Boo Boo. We see a lot of times they don't even get boots on the Boo Boo. They just go straight for that Mock of Brilliance. And it's because you can. You don't need those build-up items on a hero like Wild Soul. Yeah, it's just another reason why he's that god-tier status, as you specifically label him, Trev.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we are sitting in a pause here from Absolute Legends, and hopefully get that issue figured out, and back into game number 1 here of this best out of 3. Of course, Absolute Legends taking on Lion Esports Club here in the Diamond Division, cycle number 5, losers bracket round 4. We will have, obviously, as always on the weekends, we are going to be casting 2 matches here today. Our second match is, of course, going to be Trademark Esports taking on that one-trick pony team, and a team that Tralf is going to be joining here after this cycle to officially play with. But, of course, they're going to finish off with their 5, and again, they've been looking good here in cycle 5, but no doubt have a tough matchup against Trademark Esports, so intrigued to definitely follow up with that one as well later on today, obviously. So But anyways, back-to-back great matchups, and then obviously tomorrow continuing with what will be the losers bracket finals, and then of course the grand finals after that, with a best out of 5 winners being up 1-0. My phone is going crazy. I apologize for that. What else was I going to mention? Oh yeah, Monday the GSL qualifiers start as well. On the podcast yesterday, now the brackets they actually were updated a little bit. There was some confusion with I think Call It Karma. Whether or not they had actually disbanded, but apparently they're still a team, and they were planning on playing that. So the brackets were updated, I believe, on HoNtour.com, actually under the events tab. You can actually check it out for yourself, guys. So of course those qualifiers start on Monday, and it's a straight up 16 team best out of 3 single elimination tournament. So it starts on Monday, ends on Thursday, one round every day, which will be covered here on HoNcast, of course. And then the winner of that event will be going to Thailand to represent the North American European region, where there is going to also be a second qualifier though, so in total 2 teams will eventually go. So yeah, that's a big deal, and I know a lot of teams really have that on their mind as well, as this HoN Tour event obviously. So
yep,
including this AL team that was kind of stressing. They've been wanting to prepare for that, but here I do kind of wonder a little bit too with this Pandemonium pickup. If it ultimately was intended, I mean, sure, I know that they did lock him, but I kind of wonder if that might have even started off as a trollish lock, but then it came to a point of, you know what, let's actually pick him up. But,
I don't think it started out as a trollish lock. I've seen them run this before, actually. But again, I think they can be, in this sense, somewhat blinded by his power, so to speak. Like, yeah, he's very, very strong, but if you look at the big picture and you look at like some reasonable counters to him, there's actually quite a lot. I mean, just simply the blink effect, the flash of darkness from a Flensmeister playing a hag is simply a counter enough. And there's just so many counters to him with the push book. Like like I said, no matter how much farm you have on the Panda, all of your spells basically can be countered by a push book. So it's very difficult.
Well,
to play him in the late game.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so hard. You know, you can sit here and say, well, just get him a shrunken head and he'll be fine. But obviously the push book is in the sense of you just push your teammate out, and so you having a shrunken head in that sense does nothing for you. So yeah, even going that shrunken head route, which sure could still be useful for even other reasons, obviously, but it's not as just set in paper as you may think of. Oh, just get a shrunken head and you'll be able to channel it just fine. So, yeah, you talked about the tablet command already being up on Handskin. I mean, the fact that they have one of those on your secondary support this early on is, of course, great news. It looks like we are good to go here and resume game number 1 between AL and Line. And then as soon as we do, you see the purchase of the Mock of Brilliance finish now on Wild Soul. So, again, that's just another thing that AL will have to deal with here. And if you're Lions... taking your time, not necessarily rushing anything here. Taking your time, continuing to farm, not be too worried by any means. Wretched Hag, she went the Mighty Blade, but obviously just wanted that for the initial life pool, and now is going to try to build that Hellflower, I'm sure. As she has her first Arcana and another 1,700 gold saved up. So, Flensmeister, again, he did get Bloodlust to remember. He didn't have the prettiest of starts here on Hag, but it seems like he's been recovering pretty nicely. Yeah,
as most Hags do. It's just... That's why this hero's been picked up so much lately, because he just bounces back very easily. He can gank lanes very easily with the ultimate. I was going to mention, too, I think a lot of people compare Panda to, like, Kraken in the sense that Kraken's useless now because you can just, well, not now, but he's useless because you can just push people out of the ultimate, which is a valid point. Very similar to how Panda's ult works. I think the only difference, though, is that the Kraken ultimate's AoE. It's going to hit a lot of, or can hit a lot of different targets, whereas it's one single target ultimate from Panda. Boom, I'm on that one target, and pushbook gets failed. So I think in that sense, I think if you're trying to compare the two, Kraken's a little bit more effective. But.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Pandemonium does have 2,400 gold saved up, so again, it seems I keep going back to listing the Souls Bulwark option, but apparently he's not going to be going for that. And I do wonder if maybe he is going for a shrunken head, or of course you'd figure though, especially being a strength hero, that he would at the very least get a Mighty Blade if that was the case now. So maybe not that. Shield Breaker, I guess, could be an option. He would be able to purchase that now if he wanted that, but
no, probably not. No. He'll probably go for the shrunken. Is my guess.
He did just purchase the Warhammer as well as the Mighty Blade, I believe. So. So yeah, it looks like it is going to be the Shrunken. Again, it's still a powerful item as always, for sure, but
yeah,
it's not as as I said on paper.
I mean, it's especially effective against Engineer.
Yeah,
because of the ultimate, he's going to be able to, use that cannonball to and fro in between it. He doesn't have to worry about getting silenced or perplexed or anything like that. Bottom lane, Hammerstorm's in a lot of trouble. The ultimate coming out from Master of Arms, the defensive call. He gets this done, the Galvanize. There's a turret as well. So many push books coming out, but the keg finally does connect. And he does get taken out. Look at that. Down 2 push books are up on both Pebbles
and
Engineer.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were talking about so many, but holy crap, Pebbles has one of his own now. And, maybe you wouldn't usually see these multiple push books, but specifically with Pandemonium, it goes back to that hero, how he can be countered by that one item. So you have 2 now already on the Legion team and helping them get a kill right there. So yet again, another thing in the books for AL that they are really going to have to deal with here against Lion Esports Club. So we do have Pebbles. He's continuing to farm at the bottom lane. Obviously, we just mentioned that tablet on top of the portal key. His farm has really started to skyrocket himself. I mean, he's now up to 350 gold per minute as well. I mean, remember, he was also struggling early on in the laning phase, but ever since he got the portal key, really just enhanced from there. He already has another 1,500 gold saved up. The level 11 Engineer now. That is huge for Lion Esports Club. Yeah, and then you got Hellflower, just finished on Wretched Hag. She has an Invisrine also bottomed up for another minute. We'll see if she makes use of that. You look at the Hellborn side, I mean, again, your flashy items coming up are Shrunken Head on Pandemonium, and then also one maybe on Hammerstorm, if he can start to pick up his farm here. But
well, he's died 6 times.
Yeah.
It's the most in the entire game. He's died 6 times. This is your farmer in Hammerstorm that you wanted to have priority on in the bottom lane with a tri-lane. Like, just dying this many times is just not the way you want to start a game. Energizer up onto MOA, that's good for him, but again, he's still massively under-leveled when you compare him to, Hanskin, for instance, on Engineer, who's level 11. Cookies, he will have that Shrunken Head, and that'll be good for him, but it's simply not enough. And I look at specifically, again, at this game, GG Slayer, 0-1-0, has not contributed at all to a single hero kill so far. This is the Bubbles. This is one of the most active heroes in the game once you hit that level 6.
I believe he's also the most popular hero on Olafon Tour. Again, I kind of been looking at some stats lately.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, he is. Wretched Hag, level 15, and with the Hellflower, she might be able to kill herself, actually, with the Battle Blast and everything.
Easily.
So, Bubbles is going back and forth. He doesn't have a Mystic Vestments either, so yeah, this could definitely be a free kill. Wretched Hag actually not going for it. A little bit curious about that there. Maybe she figured there would have been some response coming out quickly, but not risking it. So she falls back, and instead Bubbles will survive. Pandemonium, Shrunken Head has been finished. Oh, no, that's a pattern, but I believe he has it. Yeah, there you go.
It was close. His Steam Boots were on strength.
Yeah.
And it would have been close. Had they been on intelligence, I think he could have gotten the bursted down the kill. But, yeah. So, I mean, he didn't want to take the shot. His ultimate's only level 2. He's very close to level 16, actually, and then he'll have that max damage ultimate.
As will Pandemonium. And that means 120% bonus base damage, and also a lesser cooldown on his face smash ability. So, that still, granted, it can't be just like all his abilities countered by tablets and whatnot. It still is a very powerful solo ganking tool, that's for sure, and especially with that portal key that he has. He can still really kill anyone in this game, honestly. Maybe other than Wild Soul and Ultiform, sure, but other than that, I could feel pretty confident that he could. In a 1-versus-1 situation. But,
I think he could kill Wild Soul, too.
Even Wild Soul?
Yeah, I think he could.
He does put out a lot of damage.
He would basically put his armor to, about 10? Yeah, about 11 or so.
Oh, jeez. A portal key on Engineer now, too.
Wow.
God, Hanskin, he's 5-1-4. I mean, again, he's only farming 220 gold per minute. It's not like he's, taking out and farm. It's just he's not dying. He's getting hero kills, and he's able to invest that money before he loses it, or in a sense. I mean, a portal key tablet already on your secondary support Engineer. We're only 28 minutes in. Ridiculous. And GG Slayer is actually disconnected, so he was the one that actually reconnected earlier. So clearly some issues going on there, as actually he's reconnecting right away. I believe that might be their final pause too, so got to be a little bit careful about that. Absolute legends here. Looks like just a quick resume, though, and we will be good. Abyssal Skull finished on Wild Soul, speaking of him.
All right, let's get it on.
Again, a powerful item there. Another 2,100 gold on Pebbles. Wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Soul's Pork on himself. Energizer finished off on MOA. Pandemonium finishing off some Ancients here. Bottom push, though. coming out from the Legion team. So finally, it has been a little bit since we've seen some action in this game, but seems like we could have a little bit here in the bottom lane, especially if they keep pushing, which I think they might do here, actually.
Yep. I mean, they have a lot of farm up on the Wild Soul. So that Boo-Boo, look at, he's hitting the tower for 226 every attack. The Glyph is being popped. We're going to maybe see resistance coming out from AL. I'm not sure, though. Hammerstorm's still just farming up top. Doesn't look like he wants to port right now, anyway. The rest of the team kind of setting up shop there. Luna's got to be friggin' careful. She's got to be very, very careful.
Oh, yeah, she's dead if Pebbles wants to go
She's got to be very careful. She's got to be very
there we
careful.
go. Pebbles jumps in behind, actually missing the stalagmites. It doesn't match on, but here we go. In jumps Cookies with that shark head. The cannonball going off. Look at the damage he puts on a Pebbles. Pebbles will fall. Hammer's going to be locked down, though. He'll go down a face smash in the background of the Glacius. Don't know if that was even necessary, but it gets the kill nonetheless. Engineer now being chased down. Bubbles. Nice kicks on, and a great bat blast on top of that. One synergy right there between Wretched Hag and Engineer, and now Aluna's going to be picked off as well. I tell you, AL, they had a chance there, but what a beautiful keg stun by Handskin. And all of a sudden, Lion Esports Club is pushing to the base. GGs are being called. Lion Esports Club will take game number 1 just like that at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, the start of that fight was pretty damn sloppy.
Yep.
Super KG totally whiffed his initiation. It was
Yeah.
actually pretty damn bad.
Yeah.
But Hans could play that entire game from start to finish so well on the Engineer. Definitely, in my opinion, MVP goes out to him for that Lions team. And in general, I think Lions, I honestly don't even think they played that well. I really don't. I think there was a couple just big misplays, and I would say that it was smart baiting coming out from them, but honestly, it was smart baiting, but it was pretty obvious baiting. I mean, I wasn't in the game, I wasn't playing it, and maybe it's different when you're in the game, but especially that one up top with Wild Soul, like that was pretty obvious. You already had the portal key up on the Pebbles. Wretched Hag was starting to get a considerable amount of farm despite her terrible start. And the biggest thing for me is that Bubbles just had no impact that game at all.
Yeah.
And I think he could have done a lot more instead of sitting up there in the top lane, 1v1 against Wild Soul until he was level 11, and ultimately giving up the tower still, nonetheless, to Wild Soul's Boo-Boos.
Yeah, and again, you know, you hate to pick on players necessarily, but you're right. I mean, Bubbles 0-2-1. Your Bubbles finished 0-2-1 in a 30-minute game that was very active early on, especially in terms of hero kills and action. So you do that really is that glaring stat to me, and I agree with you. I don't think Lions necessarily played superb by any means. That they just played well enough to get the win, of course. So and
I love these guys. I love AL. Like, I'm friends with them. I think they're awesome guys, and maybe that's why I'm being a little harsh on them.
Yeah,
because they played it so well in the beginning.
Yeah,
like
they did.
Cookies was owning mid. Flensmeister was having a terrible start.
Yeah,
they were doing really well bottom at first, and Pebbles wasn't getting that much farm. It just, I mean, they were up 7 hero kills to 1 early on, and it just fell apart.
I know. I see where you're coming from. You know, AL is a lovable team. They really are. They're a team that you could definitely appreciate and like to watch. And hell, again, they picked up Pandemoni. We never see this guy in the scene. So, you know, in a sense, you can kind of be rooting for them to at least have it work out somewhat. But granted, Cookies did play it pretty well overall on his part. I mean, played that Pandemoni fairly well. But yeah, as a team effort, again, just wasn't there. But that was just game 1, so you'd hope for everyone's sake that here in game number 2, maybe play cleans up a little bit. I know for AL, they're also a West Coast team majority, maybe even Old Demon, so waking up fairly early, you know, around 9 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah,
not the most fun thing to do. So
this is true.
Hopefully shaking that off a little bit now and moving on here. So anyways, game number 2, we are going to take a short break as always, but game number 2, AL taking on Lion Esports Club. Coming up next, stay tuned, guys.